Joe Corley, I'm here for NAPMA magazine with the Diamond Nationals, and I'm with one of the sport's really great stars, member of Team Paul Mitchell, Chris Rappold. Chris, it's always great to see you. 25 years now you've been in the martial arts, and competition has been a big part of your 25 years.
It absolutely has. Really from the very beginning, I want to say back in '86 was my first tournament, and here we are at 2007.
Along the way, you've won several world titles, WACO world titles, and you've been on world championship teams. Tell us about what those levels of victory did for your confidence level and how that may have impacted you in your martial arts business.
You know, I think on a personal level, I've always been one that thrives on challenge and thrives on achievement. So sport karate has given me that vehicle to bring myself to a level of excellence. So when you're competing against the very best in the country, and what I've done is the very best in the world as well, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you have to be on your game, what we call personal best. And I think as it pertains to the karate school, I really can't think of a finer example of leading by example than walking the talk and participating in it at a high level like I do.
Now you were brought up in a school that had competition teams. We talked about it a few minutes ago. Can you imagine how your life would be different if you were in a school that never had a competition team?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think personally for me, because of the way I'm wired and I'm designed, I think having that competition fueled me. I think it gave me that outlet to achieve. If you took the competition out, there probably wouldn't have been that. I probably would have risen to a particular level of excellence, but never thought about moving beyond that, never knowing that there was something more out there. The hardest competitors I fight against today continue to force me to improve myself. And again, when we're talking about a personal level of excellence, I find when a student or myself is training for an event, when you know somebody in 30 days is going to try to beat you up in the ring, you tend to do a few more push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, and all of that kind of stuff.
Now, as a competitor myself, I know when I would go to tournaments, I would bring back things that would be useful for the student body. I would see things that weren't necessarily in our style that would work. And now when my students go out and compete, they come back with questions that force me as a teacher to have to rethink some things. Have you experienced that as well?
Absolutely. I think when you come to an open tournament, the students are going to see some things that stimulate them, that motivate them. And no different than raising a child, they're going to see some things that maybe you don't approve of. But I think that's part of the experience, and that's part of the education. It's part of the guidance. If you're in it and you're involved in it, and your motives are clear on what you want for your students, you won't shy away from that, because that's really what allows them to be the best that they can be. And without that experience, they're only going to be able to achieve so much. Now there are some students that don't have an interest in competition, and I think from a business standpoint, that's okay. And I think everybody does martial arts for a different reason. And I don't think a school owner needs to make those students feel bad because they don't compete like they're a second-class citizen within the school. Our black belts, our brown belts have the same level of respect whether they compete or not within the school and within the organization and for what their goals and objectives are. But for those, whether it's 5%, 8%, 10%, 20%, whatever it is within your school, to be able to give those people the opportunity to achieve and excel is wonderful.
That's great. You answered the question that I was getting ready to ask. Thanks for reading my mind. So all of you guys that are out there, remember, here's a man who's put together a series of schools called Personal Best. He's thought about it. He's competed. He's worked with the world champion team. So his advice is real down-to-earth advice. And if I guess, could we summarize it like this and say, pick a percentage in your school that you think should be competitors. Don't make the ones feel bad who aren't like that, but perhaps encourage those who seem to be afraid of it, how to overcome that fear? Would that be a good thing for an instructor to do?
I think as an instructor, our role, personally and professionally, is to overcome our fears, our doubts, and our worries. We all have them, and I think students have them. I think competition can, for some students, put them face to face with their fears, doubts, and worries. And as you know, when you have that ability to overcome it, the learning, the growth, stepping out of that comfort zone is it's tremendous. It's tremendous. What a gift to be able to give a student. If a student has fears, doubts, and worries, and they're allowed to progress in the program and achieve without ever addressing them, then I think we're a little short-sighted in what we're supposed to be doing for that student. Now again, not everyone is going to choose that vehicle of competition, but for the students that do, I think it's important to do that. The other thing that's interesting is, my last NASCA event was back in 1993. I've been retired as a competitor for 13 years. So I had an opportunity to compete at a world-class level, and then I had an opportunity to leave competition for 13 years. And I'm back. I'm back now in 2007, 13 years later. I like what it's doing for our school. I like what it's doing for our organization. I like what it's doing for the motivation and the morale of the students, and I like what it's doing personally for me. It forces me to walk the talk and back up the things that we teach.
Chris, thanks for being with us. I think to put a final period on this, I've just learned something new about Chris, and I think that his passion for competition, his passion for the tournaments, has brought him back here, and he could be alive again from that perspective. So often when we get into this business of martial arts and we forget our passion, then we just have a martial arts job. So as you think about competition for your students, think about how you can develop Chris Rappold and these other great stars that we've brought to you, and how for you that can help fuel your passion as a business martial arts person.